used to work part-time at a haunted attraction when I was in college. It wasn't fancy, just a converted barn on the edge of town, filled with plywood walls, fog machines that smelled like melted plastic, and those flickering orange bulbs that always made everything look like it was breathing. I worked there for 3 Octobers in a row, but that last one stuck with me the most. It was a few nights before Halloween. Everyone else had gone home. The makeup crew, the actors, even the manager. I stayed late to paint the last set piece in the cornfield maze, trying to finish before the final weekend rush. It was quiet, the kind of quiet where you can hear your own heartbeat. There was a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, one of those industrial ones that hum when they get too hot. It swung slightly, like someone had brushed past it. That's when I noticed the light coming from down the hall. It wasn't bright, more like a flicker, orange and soft, coming from near the break room door. I thought maybe someone had left a candle burning or a prop light on, so I walked over to turn it off. As I got closer, I saw him. There was an old man sitting at a table near the far end of the hallway. He wore grey coveralls and had a small knife in his hand. In front of him were 3 pumpkins, each half carved, with candles burning inside. The glow from them flickered against the walls, painting everything in orange. At first, I didn't think much of it. The attraction hired a lot of locals, and sometimes the set builders came in after hours. So I called out, "Hey, we're closed for the night." He didn't look up, just kept carving, slow and steady. The sound of the knife scraping through the pumpkin was oddly clear in that empty building. I took a few steps closer. "Sir, you're not supposed to be back here." Still nothing. He just kept working. And then he spoke, not loud, just enough for me to hear. "They have to be ready by tomorrow." His voice was low, rough, and tired. I could barely make out the words over the buzz of the light. "Ready for what?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just lifted one of the pumpkins closer to his face and ran his thumb across it, like he was smoothing out the lines. The candle inside flickered, and for a moment I saw him clearly. His face looked pale, almost grey like old paper. His eyes were milky, not blind exactly, but far away. Then he looked up at me and smiled. It wasn't creepy, not at first. Just a small, sad smile, but something about it made the air feel heavy. "Did you used to work here?" I asked. He didn't say anything. He set the knife down beside the pumpkins and just stared at them, one by one. I noticed his hands. They were shaking a little, thin and veined, and the candlelight shined through his fingers like they weren't solid. I took a step back. "All right," I said, trying to sound calm. "I'll just leave you to it." But before I could move, the light above me flickered. Once, twice, then out. The whole hallway went black except for the glow of those 3 pumpkins. I could still see him sitting there, the faint light outlining his shoulders. But now there was no sound, no carving, no breathing, nothing. "Sir," I called. No answer. I waited, frozen, my eyes trying to adjust to the dark. Then I heard the light bulb click back on behind me. It buzzed once, and I turned around. When I looked back down the hallway, he was gone. The chair, the knife, the pumpkins, everything, just gone. The only thing left was that faint smell of burnt pumpkin flesh, like the candle had just gone out. I stood there for maybe a full minute, waiting for some sign that he'd walked away. Footsteps, a door creak, anything, but there was nothing. Finally, I forced myself to walk down to where the table had been. The floor was covered in a thin layer of dust, and when I looked down, there were no footprints, just one small patch where the dust had been disturbed, shaped like a handprint. I don't know how long I stood there staring at it. The light flickered again, and that's when I caught a glimpse of something. In the reflection of the break room window, a faint, wavering shape behind me. I turned around fast, heart pounding, but the hallway was empty. Still, the reflection stayed, the outline of a man sitting at the table, hands resting on something round in front of him. And then, as I watched, he faded. The reflection dissolved like fog clearing from glass, leaving only my own pale face staring back. I ran. I didn't even bother shutting off the lights. I just sprinted through the maze, out the emergency exit, and into the parking lot. I remember looking back once, expecting to see the window glowing from that candlelight, but it was dark, completely dark. Later, I found out the story. There'd been a man who used to build props there years before I started, long before the attraction even looked the way it did. He died one October night after slipping on a wet floor and cutting himself badly while carving pumpkins for the opening weekend. No one talked about it much, but every once in a while, people said they'd smell smoke or see light coming from the old hallway after closing. I don't know if it was him, but that night, when he vanished, it didn't feel like something evil, and that's what stays with me. It was last Halloween night, and I was driving home from my friend's place. The party had ended early because of the rain, and I had about an hour's drive through back roads to get home. No traffic, no streetlights, just the glow of my headlights cutting through the fog. About 20 minutes in, I started feeling uneasy, like something was off. I remember glancing up into the rearview mirror and thinking I saw something. 2 small points of light. At first, I thought it was another car behind me, but there were no headlights. These were closer, smaller, like eyes reflecting light back at me. I blinked and looked again. Gone. I tried to laugh it off. I'd been drinking pumpkin cider, hadn't eaten much, and the road was dark enough to play tricks. But after a few miles, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was sitting in the back seat. You know when you can feel someone staring? It was like that. I switched on the dome light. Nothing. Just my jacket and a bag of candy. The moment I turned the light off, though, I caught a glimpse of those eyes again in the mirror. They weren't glowing anymore. They were human eyes. Wide, unblinking. I slammed the brakes and spun around so fast I nearly hit the steering wheel. But again, the back seat was empty. The silence that followed was worse than anything I could have imagined. Even my breathing sounded too loud. I rolled down the window a little just to hear something. And that's when I heard it. A slow, wet exhale right behind my ear. I screamed and turned around again. But this time, there was a handprint fogging up the inside of my rear windshield. 5 long, pale fingers pressed against the glass. I hit the gas and didn't stop. My eyes kept darting between the road and that mirror, praying I wouldn't see anything else. The rain had started up again, hitting the car in sharp little bursts. I was trying to convince myself that maybe I'd imagined everything. Maybe it was my own handprint from earlier. But then, the radio turned on by itself. It wasn't a station, just static, mixed with faint whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but the voice sounded like it was coming from the back seat, right behind me. Every instinct told me not to look, but I did. This time I didn't see eyes. I saw a face. It was smiling. Just a faint curve of lips that didn't match the eyes above them. The kind of smile that doesn't belong on a living person. Its skin looked stretched too tight, pale like wax, and the eyes were sunk deep into dark hollows. Then it leaned forward, and the smile moved. I swerved the car hard, skidding into the shoulder. When I looked again, the back seat was empty, except for a puddle of water spreading across the seat. I rolled all the windows down, shaking, trying to get my breath back. I wanted to get out, but I couldn't move. The air inside the car was cold enough to see my breath. That's when the radio finally cleared up. A voice, quiet but clear, whispered, "Keep your eyes on the road." The moment I did, I saw headlights ahead, another car, and I realized I drifted into the wrong lane. I swerved back just in time to miss a head-on crash. When I finally got home, I left the car running in the driveway and ran inside, crying. My dad went out to turn the car off for me, and when he came back, he asked me if I'd spilled something on the back seat. I said no. He told me it looked like someone had been sitting there, soaked from head to toe. The seat was cold, even though the heater had been on. After that, I don't drive alone at night.